We rolling. How's it going, guys? Here for episode 23 of the Edgy&Weird podcast. Man, I've just been sitting here thinking. Yeah, I've been listening to some podcasts. The one with, not even going to say the names because, whenever I talk to people about things like that, especially when it relates to this podcast, as soon as you start relating something to someone who's known, then people look at you like why do you think you should be on that level? You're crazy to even think that. Almost like you're if you've seen the Joker, the part where he's watching on the screen the talk show guy, like whatever, the Tonight Show guy of the movie, and then he like literally goes into like this dream-like state to where he's on the show like, thank you, Chuck. Ha ha ha. Oh yes, blah blah blah, and all that bullshit. Just mentioning another human being because they are, on this so high status, means that you're somehow insane that you could even think like that. As I'm sitting here trying to start up this podcast, most people ask me when I tell them about it, oh, what's it about? And then I'm like, well, we just talk. We get on here, we kind of say what's on our mind because that's what it's about right now. And then, people look at you like, or it could just be the way I'm feeling, but it seems like people look at me a little bit like, well, so it's about nothing. Like, motherfucker, the most famous show in the world at one point was about nothing. Seinfeld, Well, but I can't compare myself to that because, Seinfeld, he's an alien. You know what I mean? He's a fucking human being, just like the rest of us, dude. I realize there's a certain amount of, there has to be a certain amount of dream in you to even want to do something, and that to me seems a bit unfortunate. Not that there has to be a dream, but that the dream seems so unattainable to people that you're almost looked at like you're trying to catch a fucking unicorn. I love that word, unicorn. Bro, it's not that fucking amazing. Nothing that, it's amazing when you see people put all of these things together, but it all started with someone going, I wonder if it's pretty much how everything starts. That's Rob saying shit, my bad, because I told him I was recording. Nah, motherfucker. Enjoy your barbecue. Like, it's crazy to even think that you could try to even want past the norm. Like, everyone says how everyone's so amazing, but if you hear anyone talk, like, I was listening to this person say something to this person, and he was saying how amazing he is in his career and how everything he did, he like embodies that thing, but it's always amazing to see what he's going to do next. And that person was like, well, I guess if you're asking if there's a level of confidence, it's not even confidence the word that he used, but he's like, well, I guess right now, yes, I do have that, because it's working. I mean, I did this, but it's like, the reality is you don't even know what you're going to put out until you fucking put it out there, and you just hope that everything around you aligns enough for it to all make sense to people that are watching it or listening to it. But for the most part, I don't think most people, you can't think something's going to be, you have to think something's going to be great in order to even do it. You have to see that there's potential for it, but you're never going to know until you fucking put the shit out there. And what is this about? What is this fucking podcast about? It's about an Australian girl and a black dude who were working at a restaurant who said, hey, we have funny conversations, let's fucking record this shit and see where it goes. That's how it started. Then we got my homie on board and we went from there. Started with the tripod. Now it seems like, only one leg is left, but hey, who knows where life is going to take you in the future? Who knows what people are going to want to do? If somebody's going to want to come back on board, the door is always open. I've definitely said that, but I know that's what the podcast started as, is us wanting to be able to talk and say some of the things that we were saying that were just going into nothing, into the day's log, as another funny conversation that me and the homegirl had. well, why don't we record it and see if some other people will laugh along with us? And then the pandemic happened. I was talking about having to look at myself and trying to figure out all of this like everyone else was trying to do. Luckily, it came around the same time that I wanted to do the podcast. Long story short, I was able to get all this shit put up and the podcast started. Then something happened, life happened with the young lady. She had to go ahead and live her life doing other things. Continued with me and the homie. Rob just did the last one with me, but that is what it is. He will come in, Rob will come in when Rob can come in. Edgy&Weird podcast doesn't have to be about two fucking people. You know what I mean? It's just a fucking title. It's like anything else. And that's what I'm going with, and that's what I'm going to market my shit as, because that's what we started it as. So that's what everything's going to be billed as. Fucking Edgy&Weird this, Edgy&Weird that. Until motherfuckers get sick of it. Or until I get paid for it. Or not. Edgy&Weird is what it is. It was the name we came up with. And I mean, for me, it's starting to fit. It's starting to make sense. But what the fuck is the podcast? I don't fucking know yet, is what it is. What the podcast is I'm 37 years old. I have a life of things to look back on. And they are things that get me excited if I were to continue down that path. If I were to continue down the path that I came from. Coming from a small town. I know that when I was very young, I wanted to be a singer. I know that for various reasons that didn't work out. I didn't get to play a lot of sports. I didn't get to play sports growing up. Through means of life and my own foolishness and stupidity, whatever creativity I've had has been hampered and kept below the surface, and being 37, maybe some of that's gone. Hell, maybe all of it is. But I tell you what, I feel better trying to figure it out like this than just going back to work, doing some horseshit that isn't going to make me happy anyway. Serving someone else their meals, which is great if that's what you want to do. That is not what I want to do with my life. So even if I am the Joker, going, yeah, thank you, Chuck or Scott or whatever, then I suppose that will have to be fine. Even if people don't think this is all that funny, I guess, well, everything isn't going to be funny anyway. I'm not a comedian. I have been on stage a few times, but every podcast doesn't have to be about laughter. I'm just learning, man. I just started learning how to edit, really. A lot of this too is getting over your own fears of failure and of getting out of your own way. I just heard that on a podcast. Being able to push through when you need to and to step back when you need to. Man, I'm listening to the editing and I'm saying I am sorry for not bringing heavy editing into the picture before. But this whole thing is a process. It might take a couple of years for anything to actually materialize, but that is the goal. And if somebody wants that to be their goal, shouldn't they go for it? Maybe we'll materialize into themes later on. We'll talk about fucking Pluto for 2 hours. I don't know, the Alaskan pipeline. We can go down the Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger genre of movies for a whole podcast if we want to. We can talk about how they make paper clips. We can talk about pregnant women. We can talk about if they think they're going to be able to make a pregnant man. But right now, it's still materializing. Right now, it's just somebody who doesn't want to be doing what they were doing, which is nothing. Is how I figured I've been living my life. Doing nothing that I wanted to actually do. Like, I joined the Navy. I barely made it through that shit. Did 4 years of that. At least it got me to fucking Hawaii. And from there, I was doing security in a purse store. Beautiful women, by the way, that work there. I'm sure they're making somebody happy. And the men, too. Beautiful men. Whatever. But working in a fucking purse store. Christian Dior and Louis Vuitton, I worked at both of them doing security, standing there like a fucking wall ornament, bro. Hi, aloha, aloha, how are you? Who the fuck would want to be? And how could you even sell that shit? And these people are unbelievable, bro. I mean, some of them acting like they own the purses. Like, yes, I'll sell this to you. You know, I made this. Motherfucker, you didn't make shit. You worked there. You rode here on the bus. The champagne you're giving them, that came from the back storeroom. You can't even afford to take a bottle of it home. And after working here for 15 years, you might get $1,000 purse saying, you know, thank you for rubbing off most of your feet to get them sales, bitch. I mean, talking about doing nothing with your life and just seeing money floating past your face every fucking day. Dude, talking about feeling like worthless shit. I remember the fucking homie asked me, it was my first day at Dior. I had worked at Louis Vuitton. The other guard asked me, hey man, so how's it going? It's your first day? How's it going, man? It's kind of going like I want to burn this place down and everything in it. Oh, well, okay. Well, I'm going to go back to the other side. You do that. Listening to this lady talk about how you guys really need to buy into this, you know, really sell it to the customers, you know. I mean, these bags are they're really a big deal for the season, and you know what I mean? We really want to get it to. She's got her fucking, like she just came from France, you know, she's got the goddamn thing tied around her sweater and all that bullshit, dude. Oh, it's fucking disgusting. Disgusting! I worked at a fucking mattress company. That shit was probably more fun because at least I could fucking smoke weed. Ooh, talking about being high every fucking day. That was probably my favorite job ever. I mean, I was high all the time in restaurants too, but it was encouraged working at this company. I don't want to say the name because I don't want to put them on blast. It's not even the same company as it was before anyway. Yeah, I did that. And then I started working as an ambassador, and that job was just fucking, you know, I already talked about that. Hi, how are you? Wearing fucking knee-high shorts and a fucking flamboyant green shirt. No offense to the flamboyant green shirt wearers out there, but, you know, not my favorite color. I did that job for about 8 months, and then I was like, yeah, see ya. But I wanted to leave that bitch anyway, so I was definitely giving them reasons to fucking fire me. Yeah, and then from there, I did a couple of other jobs, and then I got into restaurants. I don't know, it all happened somewhere in there. Something like that. I'm high, you know, but all of it happened, you know, and basically all of it was shit I didn't even want to do. Even the mattress company, like other than being high and being able to laugh through most of the bullshit, like you gotta go in all these motherfuckers' houses. Some people have bed bugs. Oh my god. And they want you to take their mattresses, you know. Some people, you do 3 hours of work, move all types of shit that had nothing to do with the fucking job. Are you gonna tip me at least $10 fucking? Nope. You definitely rely on tips. Why? Because you're underpaid. That's why you want tips, because you're fucking underpaid at that job, just like every other fucking job. Not every other job, but most jobs that people like me do. I'm working at this place called Strip Steak, you know, great steaks and everything, but you're still in a monkey suit, literally in an apron in a monkey suit. And I never became a server there, so that shit just was not even worth it, dealing with all of these people. By the way, beautiful people. Most of them that work there. Not to say that all people aren't beautiful. But still, bro. Like, the personalities you have to deal with, and I'm talking because rich people walk in there, and because the servers in there make so much fucking money. Yeah, the managers in there probably making like $50,000-$60,000 a year, and then you have the head guy who's probably making at least $100,000. If you're the GM of a place like Strip Steak, you're making at least $100,000, and then you have us. We're not making that. I was a runner, busser. We're not making that. Jesus. You're making $9 an hour plus tips, and that can range from 60 to fucking 130. Some good, real good nights, if you're in the PDR, if you have a crazy top, then you might get 160, 170, about $200. But rarely does that fucking happen. The servers, they're making like $500. So, some of them are literally coming in there driving Beamers. At the end of the day, what are you doing? What are you still doing if you're working there? Bending over backwards. And if you're making that much money, how much more money do you think everyone else, the people above you that aren't doing nearly the amount of work that you're putting in, busting their asses, bitches putting their tits out? Some of them don't even want to be doing that. They're putting their tits out because they get extra tips for pulling their tits out. The dog and pony show, so you can make a few extra dollars. If it's a choice between running my mouth looking like an idiot on here, fucking acting like a fucking retard, is way better than ever going back to anything like that. Better than wearing a fucking green shirt and booty shorts. Okay, knee highs, saying hi to everybody, and they don't want you out there. They don't want to fucking talk to you. And the ones that do, they're creepy. And occasionally foreign, which is, if you're foreign and you want to talk to me, that's fine. It had nothing to do with a woman or a man thing. It's just fine. Either way, the job was stupid. I would rather not do that job at all. Working in restaurants, whether you've worked in them or you've just been in them, who the fuck would want to work there? Does it ever look like a great time when you're standing in line? So, I don't know yet what the podcast is going to be. I don't even know enough people. I don't know anyone. I mean, I have my stories, but I don't know how to even get them out yet. Most of us, we've been cutting each other off. A lot of this is us trying to talk because we don't exactly know what the fuck we're doing. There's no way this shit was going to happen overnight. I knew that. I was hoping for a little bit better, obviously. Hoping for some cohesion. But look, I'm willing to put in the work, and I'm willing to put in years of time to make this thing work. Hopefully there's going to be more people watching over time as this process goes. But I knew it wasn't going to be overnight. So if people are willing to stick with that, keep watching, and hopefully you'll find some enjoyment, or if you just want to find something to pick on. Hell, I figured I've made enough people laugh without being on camera, whether they were laughing with me or laughing at me. I figured I've made enough people laugh that I should at least try it. My God, bro. So many times, drunk Uber rides home from the bar, they're like, what do you do, man? Do you do anything like in radio? Because if you did, I would totally listen. And then I get my podcast started, pandemic comes around. So I've taken 2 Uber rides since 2020 started. And actually that might be a good thing, because I've heard that, they're killing people in Ubers now. They're killing people in Ubers is what I heard. So I'm happy to step away from that. So that's where we're at, man. I'm still trying to learn how to talk on this thing. Most of the time when I first started, I'm either too high or too nervous. I don't even know, is there going to be a hook at the beginning? Is there going to be something I say at the beginning of every podcast? That might take another 6 months to a year to figure out, or maybe that may never even happen. We may never even want to do something like that. It might feel too fucking cheesy. The other thing is catching yourself in the right moment. There's so many times that I'll have a flow of thoughts happening, and I'm like, oh, if only I just had everything set up right now. And of course, I've got fucking one sock on, bruh. You know what I'm saying? My hair is all the way to the left, and I'm just like, bro, by the time I even figure it out, I will spend 80% of that energy just getting ready to get on the fucking thing. And true to form, literally as soon as you think you're going to start doing something, some bullshit interrupts a train of fantastic thought. And now you're stuck looking at your stupid phone like, who the fuck did this to me again? And then we get on here and we started some of the shows. I don't know, some people that have been on here have looked at some of the episodes and they're like, well, these donkey fucks just talk into space. I could definitely get on there and we can do it better than that. And it's like, well, I think, first of all, the tricks of editing are something that I haven't perfected. Oh, Jesus. The tricks of editing is something that I'm still in the fucking sand playing with my fingers with right now. I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing. That's something I've started doing, and when this podcast comes out, you will have at least seen a couple of the episodes that I edited down. That process is going to get better as time goes on because I'm going to keep doing it. So naturally it has to get better. I don't love being negative or down, and I don't even know if that's what I am. I know it's what I can be. It's so easy. All you have to do is wake up and be like, fuck, I have to go to work. There you go. That doesn't sound positive in the slightest. Why? So I can pay my bills. Why? So I can have a place to live. Why? So I can have a place to live to get ready to go back to work. Okay. Then I'm doing this, and I'm sitting here, and you know, I'm putting these things out there. No one's really looking at them right now. It could be the way I market. It could be the way things go. That's just going to be the way it has to be. I'm going to just keep putting stuff out there. I'm going to keep trying to come up with ideas, and at some point, I'll get on the camera with someone else, and it will just click. I mean, maybe it already has, and no one's just seen what's clicked yet, or it's just too far in between us talking dumb shit for you to even want to pay attention long enough. But I was listening to some podcasts. Some people on there were saying how what they do is still so surreal. How you actually get to be a fan of this particular thing, and then you actually get to be a part of it also. When I think about what I might want to try and do, which is not necessarily to be this super famous person, but it's to establish myself in what I think I can be good at eventually. That is just talking shit and making people laugh and then making them think. As I get further down the road and thinking about how I'm going to do that better, I realize, yeah, this is my starting point. I'm 37, that's late, but at least I'm not 45 and doing it. Even if I was 45, that would have to be what that is too. I can remember how shitty my life is and stay here, or I can think about how shitty my life isn't going to be if I keep going, or how that possibility at least is there by continuing on to try and do something else. And I don't have a bunch of people next to me right now saying you can do it, you can do it. You have to create that for yourself. I mean, I have a few people doing that, but honestly, if I'm being honest, it feels more like lip service. Like I realize that I have to just put in more work. I'm never going to be satisfied with the amount of work that I'm putting into this. I'm always going to think I need to do more. I need to do more. Until that translates, then maybe nothing's going to happen. If it never translates, maybe that's how it goes. But just going back to work after doing all this, to just come back to this room after all that, to be good, putting on my shoes, looking in this closet, grabbing a stupid fucking shirt to go do another clown dance for somebody else for another 10 years, yeah, you can put the gun to my head already. And it's funny how some of those same people, this guy was talking to this other guy, and he's saying, you know, actually even meeting you, like even after all I've done, that's crazy. And then meeting you, like even this is insane. Like I feel like I know you because I've been listening to you. And the guy's like, yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. He's like, I'm just talking to you after this. And it's like I've had conversations like that with people because you connect on the level of something that you do. You both do. And guess what? And guess what that is? It's called being human. It means they're just the same. And that's the only thing. And maybe I'm just trying to convince myself of that, you know, as I'm saying this. And then another thing he said, you know, sometimes when you're doing a piece, especially when you're creating something, and then you look back at it and you're like, wow, I mean, I know I did that. I know I made that. But did I actually do that? Wow, that's unbelievable. I don't have much to compare that to. But I remember there's a few times when I was in the military, like I used to like to just write my thoughts down about military life, and a couple of times I left some of those little notes around, and a couple of people found them, and they're like, man, as soon as I saw this, I knew it was you. And then I remember one guy actually gave one back to me, and I read it, and I was like, did I write that? And I'm like, yeah, no, I remember now. I remember writing this. I must have been on one. It was the middle of deployment, so it wasn't like I could have been drinking or on any type of stimulants except no sleep. And it was like, wow, I wrote that down. Like that just fucking came through. So if I could tap into that, then there has to be something there. What can I use? How can I translate that into creation that can mean something to me? And that was 10 years ago now. And I'm here. So when I think about that, and then before, and the things I tried to do, fuck it, I tried to join American Idol. And when I feel more comfortable talking about that travesty, then I'll go into that. Because obviously it didn't work. And I'm like, yeah, I can deal with the sneers. I can deal with people looking at me like you're crazy. If that's what it takes to fucking make something that I fucking feel happy about, even if the shit doesn't make it, and who's to say we'll ever be happy? I don't know. I'm only 37. But I am 37 sitting here. Man, I'm getting gray hairs in my beard. You know what I'm saying? I'm not about to get no Just for Men. I ain't no fucking fake bitch. But this shit sucks when you got gray hairs and empty pockets. Fuck me. I can take all that bullshit. Yeah, if there's any way possible that I can do something with this, then I'll go through it. And it's not even to say anything. It's not to say anything bad about anyone. For everyone that's come on here and has tried to do a podcast, and you need to know I appreciate you. I do. Hopefully all of you end up coming back, and anyone who's wanted to, hopefully you end up coming on here. I do think some people have their ideas, and you seem to get people, like there's been a couple of people that came on who were just like, yeah, so we're going to do this and we're going to get into it like this. Like, so we're going to come on here with this, and they try to hard charge in. It may come off as like, well, he needs to take control of his show, but it's like, it's a podcast. It's not a show with a format like that. Like, the time can be sporadic. We can have a 15-minute show, or we can have a 2-hour show split up over 4 parts. And if somebody comes in and they have a hard charging topic, that is the point. If you come in and you have something that you want on your mind, spill it all over the table. That's what we want. And I'll try not to run all over you because I don't know when to shut my stupid fucking mouth. I want it to be a give and take, but I want it to be a learning process. No one I brought in here is known. There's a couple of guys who have potential. There's Star, who's an up and coming rapper, but like, no one's known. If anyone that came on here has any idea of like going into a public life, we're still trying to figure out what that is. I've done more than a few open mics. Not enough to call myself a comedian, though. You know? So, I mean, I'm still developing this. And I'm going to say this, too. Not as somebody who's old. I'm going to claim my age because I feel I might as well just go ahead and get ahead of it before anyone else throws it at me. I'm going to claim my age. But I would rather live from this time until whatever time trying to do what I want to do to make myself happy, so that the people around me, I don't make them miserable too. If you're not trying to make your life better, if you're living in your misery, you're going to be miserable. The people around you are going to be miserable, and I don't want to live like that. Even if people around you are miserable, if you don't want to be miserable, you don't have to be. I can feed myself with the positivity I need to keep this moving. All I have to do is look in, and when I can't see that, there's things I can watch, there's things I can see, and that's not to say you look at it all from the television, but if I'm not getting it from the human contact, it's there to be had, and I'll take the energy from where I can get it. There are stories, and for anyone who even wanted to ever try, this is what you have to do. Whatever it takes for you to feel good about yourself. Right now, the podcast keeps going back to people being stupid, always talking about fat people, basically rummaging through the same 3 or 4 topics. I feel like, especially as I'm doing editing, I'm like, oh boy, we're here again, are we? But it's going to develop over time, and I promise the episodes that I put out from now on are going to be edited. I'm still going to have full unedited episodes, but more than likely for just like posterity, or hey, if you want to check out, I wonder what they were saying in between there. Those will be available at some point, but all of the episodes are going to be edited. I realized listening to the podcast like the way I was listening to them, just high and like kind of doing things, is one thing. But like, if you're in a car, if you kind of want to get to a point, because there's a lot of times, a lot of things I just turn off because it's like, yeah, that's too much airtime. This is not the time frame that I want to be listening to that. And like, no one knows me, and who the fuck am I to think that anybody would want to waste their time on my dead space? Jesus. So sorry about that. I'm going to be trying all types of things. Like, I did those little singing clips. Most of those are stupid. I'm still going to keep doing those. I'm going to put little things up on TikTok. Bro, I put a couple of things up there with me just like cooking steak on the indoor grill. One almost got 1,000 hits. The other one only has 3. But hey, they're up there. Make sure there's nothing on my stupid fucking face. Well, that's another thing I'm realizing from editing. I'm like, oh boy, I wish I knew how to take these little bits out. What's that on his nose? There's something on his nose. Rob's going to come back on. He's going to be back. Josh is going to be back. Or Isaiah is going to come. Michael P is going to come back at some point. Pretty sure Sky's going to come back. All the people that you saw, Star's coming back. There's a couple other people I've been talking to. Hopefully I can get them to come on. We'll see. But get used to seeing my face, because it's probably going to be here every time. Hope you like it, because I don't. And if there's anything that I want to project, it is to just simply be raw and honest with whatever the fuck it is we're talking about. And I don't care what theme this podcast goes into. That's something that's I'm sticking to, period. There's trying to curate thoughts. I mean, trying to actually have to come in and keep a whole subject matter going without cutting ourselves off, forgetting what the hell it was that we wanted to say halfway through it. I know plenty of people have conversations that you're just like, wow, that was really cool. If you could play it back in your head the way it was, it would be cool every time you heard it. But to try to capture that and to keep that going when you know a camera's rolling in front of you, my dude, I think something like that for some people, and I'm probably one of them, is just going to take a while to get to. Hopefully people think it's getting better, and then over time it just will. Another podcast I was listening to, this is why no matter how much I keep bringing up my age, I also bring up the fact that I'm just not going to stop. Most of my life is pretty disappointing, but what I was listening to was everything can't be bad all the time. And this person was talking about how he was poor starting out. His parental figure was like incarcerated, and then this person got successful, this person got out, and then they set them up and said, look, there's nothing you can do about where you were, but something you did made it to where I could be where I'm at, and so now I can give that to you, so it can't be bad all the time. I mean, there might just be a reason for something being bad, even if it seems like it's for so long. And whatever your ideal life in your head is, it's never going to be that, because life, and that's what happens. Life happens, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's never going to be good. There are advantages to living a life where you're always trying to get something, and where you're generally disappointed. For one thing, you really do get to see what it means to have friends and how important and also frivolous it can be. And then you realize that people come and go, and most people come and go, and very few stick around. You also, I think, and I'll say personally, for me, when I hear people say, I do this for these people, and this makes me better, this is the reason why I do this. And I think that although that is altruistic, it it can leave room for a possibility for a great fall. What if you lose all of those people? And if you think that that's not possible, it's possible. What if you lose them all? And I would say this, just for a slight amendment for me, no matter what would happen, I feel like at this point, pass or fail, it's on me. But no matter what happened, to put my best foot forward through it all, even if those people that I cared about and who would want nothing but for me to succeed, whether they're there or not, to put my best foot forward and to go on through it all, no matter what, would be the best honor to the ones that you cared about, regardless of the position life leaves any of you in. And that's the only thing, is to go on regardless and live the best life that you can for yourself. Because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, no one else is going to be in that casket next to you. It's going to be you. But then also for the people that you care about, everyone living their best lives and then living their lives together, if you can. I've forgotten a little bit how it felt to try and maintain positivity in my life. When life is constantly throwing things in your face, like people are like, well, you just got to keep on, blah blah blah. It's like, nah, I can take some time and dust that off, but no, you have to keep moving. You have to acknowledge things in your life that need to be acknowledged, but at the end of the day, moving on and continuing forward is key. I don't think forgetting what you've been through is like people saying that stuff doesn't matter anymore. What happened in the past doesn't matter. I don't think it's fair. I think everything that you go through matters, and the fact that you got through all of it is even more of a testament, and now you can wear all of it as armor. I think that even the success that anyone has, a portion of that energy should go to the healing of that piece of you that was dejected, that was ignored, or was hurt and put in a painful place and locked in a closet somewhere. To forget about that is not healing. It's just leaving a dark space in your life to come back and bite you somewhere later. Well, I'll say for me, I will need to remember to say to myself, remember all of the things that you wanted and all of the things that you aspired to be and aspired to have and aspired to get in your life. Remember that person that wanted that? All right, we're talking to him right now. Hey, we're getting it. We're getting it, okay? We're getting it. I mean, I am me and that person is me. We're the same. But you are different than what you were before, but you are what you are now because of the person that you were before and how you learned from that person or didn't learn in every case. I think there's a room for acknowledgement in everything. And that doesn't necessarily have to hold us back. It's a matter of moderately applying whatever it is you need to the healing and the betterment. And sometimes that's addressing strong feelings of hurt or hate. Hate and love, they're on similar paths. And 1 second you're loving someone, and then the next thing, a split second later, something happened, and all of a sudden you can't stand that person. How did that happen? I mean, I loved the hell out of them just 15 minutes ago. So I think it all should be applied to healing everything that we are, everything that we failed at, and everything that we passed. All of those things are things that shaped us. So if you want to acknowledge the things that made you better because they were good, I think you should also acknowledge the things that made you better because they were bad. Because you learned from them too. And more than likely you learned from them more because you thought about them more, which is probably why you want to forget them, which is probably why you shouldn't. So we don't make the same mistake again. So we appreciate what we've learned and where we came from. Yeah, so we're going to wrap up this podcast now. And I'll see you guys for episode 24. Till then, follow your dreams.